So something I wanted to go over now was the way multi-selections work. They're very similar to the way text box selections work, where you have a head and a tail. So you see I can move to the right, I can select to the right. If I stop moving now, the tail will jump to the head and back and forth. So selections are very, very nice this way. And I've applied the same way this works to line selections, so the red outline. So I can hold shift while I move up and down to select multiple lines like this. And I can do multiple actions like shifting or shifting up and down with the selected lines. And then undo redo jumps back to the selected lines as well. The next thing about this, what is nice, is commands or other movement can also accept this. So I have control jump to jump to the same indentation. So I have control up and down to jump to the same indentation like this. And obviously the next idea that you would have is holding shift with this. So you can do that to just jump, to still do the command, but while holding shift, and you can select all the lines inside of that. I have another one here which is moving up to the parent with control home. So like that. And this also works with shift. Also in the Kanban mode, I have re-implemented the jump from this Kanban to this Kanban with control dot and comma. And that also has a shift behavior, so I can just select everything here. This week I started working on some of the theme editor and some of the UI design. So maybe you have seen on the left bar, on the left side now I have this bar, very similar to VS Code, for example, right? So instead of a top and a bottom bar, I think I'm just gonna go with this one. So the reason why is obviously because you can have a lot of lines in here, and you know, it's just better to not have too much space wasted. So I think having less bars is better. Other than that, it's also very nice to have this kind of enum-based menu system. So I can just say, hey, this is the options menu. Okay, I have this opened. And then I can change all the settings here. I can resize the window a little bit, and then I can change the tab or whatever, and then I can go out of this menu and then continue on working. So I really, really like that style. Instead of having drop shadow based like floating windows. So with that, I have some options here already. Autosave is not on right now, but invert and scroll XY works right now. I worked on this toggle thing. So I can add a few tags here, 1, 2, 3, and I can open up this tags sidebar, and I can actually change these to, I don't know, testing, and then they update live. And I also added the tag showcase. So if you want to show text and color, you can do that. Or if you only want to see the color of the tag, or if you don't want to see it currently. So that's something I wanted, and I think that's pretty flexible. Now the only thing I still have to do is to allow customizing the colors like I did before. And yeah, on the bottom left we also have the list mode and the Kanban mode. So I can change from one to the other like this, and it will just highlight the current one you're in. Alright, so another thing I worked on was the theme editor. I just made it a bit more nice to use, so you can actually move up and down here for every color, and you can quickly change one of these or each color via each slider, so RGBA. And here I added this little color wheel plus the hue, and it works very nicely. I also made sure to get copy paste of colors working, so I can do this background, for example, or just copy the color for this one. Oh, I cannot see it. Yeah, that one. and maybe this one as well. So you see it's pretty nice now. It's very basic. You just move up and down in this window and just change the color immediately. Alright, I just added something pretty cool for the theme editor that I had once a while ago. It's randomization. So it looks pretty terrible here if I do randomize simple, which is literally just setting the RGB values to something random. I always had, or I always wanted something with more control. And I had it once a while ago, but I removed it. So it's this one, randomize HSV. So here on the left, I have a few checkboxes, what it's actually randomizing. So right now it's just using, it's randomizing the hue, and the rest, the saturation and value are set to 0 or not to randomize. So we're using random hue and then static saturation and value. And this is how it looks. And you can imagine with those two at one, it's going to be very colorful, right? But what I could do now is I could set the saturation to something lower, maybe even lower, so it's very brightish. The value is something darker, or the saturation a little bit higher, something like that. And you can kind of just randomize to whatever you like. And then you can also play around with maybe setting just a custom hue, so 0 is red, for example, and we just want to randomize the saturation, so something like that. Which is pretty cool, right? So we just have randomized color schemes based on a single hue value and randomized saturation. You could also get randomized values in here, so you know, these don't matter anymore, and now it's just about this. So I could make a red one with random saturation values. So yeah, it's pretty fun to play around with, that's for sure. So or you can just do one of these and then saturation, something static, and yeah, just try to get something cool. Or maybe do a mix of these, randomize hue and value, and then stick to a static or a constant saturation like this. Or maybe you like higher for more colors and such, and then I'm pretty sure you can find some cool color schemes without doing too much yourself. Alright, so it's Tuesday and I worked on some of the state automation again. So you can see I have A, B, C. I can turn their task states to this like, I don't know, yellowish color, right? And then it will automatically set the parent here to the same color, or to the same state in this case. And then once I add another one, it will return to its default, because that's it has one normal state. And once that turns into the same one, then obviously that's the case. And then if it's cancelled or this other color, it goes back to the original. So pretty much the thing that I had before. And I got it working with this indentation-based system. So the same thing with the undo system. So if the state of this one changed after doing the indentation, it also returns back to its original if we undo. Okay, so the last thing I implemented today was bookmarks. So bookmarks returned. I can just say Control B to create a bookmark on the left. You can see that. And so on the left side of the text here, where the mouse is pointing at, we can just hit Control Tab to jump from one location to the other one. And then if I have a few of these, it now jumps in between them. And I also added this cool thing: when you're in between bookmarks, you start jumping to the next one from the current selection. So if I start here and I jump to the next bookmark, it will go to this one, since that's the closest when jumping forwards. And I also made this work when jumping backwards. So I can now do Control-Shift-Tab to jump to that one here. So pretty cool. I like it. A little bit of a side note, I also implemented the uppercasing. So If you shift something, it will not do it, but if you control enter, it will uppercase a word. So like the old version of Todool. And one thing with the indentation here, or the bookmark, I made it on the left so that it looks okayish with tags and such. So you'll recognize it nicer, and in this Canva mode you'll also see it. So you can just jump from one bookmark to another. But that was it for today, and we'll see what we can do tomorrow. Alright, it's early in Thursday, and I worked on just some minor things and then a few prompts. So here in the options you can see I have this option to enable animations or not, and you can see it's already, no animations are happening in the UI at all if this is not on. So, and if it's on, the elements will animate. So let's see this in action. So for example, the swapping and such uses animation, and if we turn this off, it's just instant. Same with the indentation, and if we turn this on again, there you go. Next thing I implemented was a little Goto prompt. Now with this color scheme it doesn't look too nice, but yeah, this is it, and it kind of animates in. And let's actually check if the use animations works. Yeah. Nice. So if I open the prompt, it's gonna steal the keyboard input, and we can then write 0, 1, 2. If we hit escape, it jumps back to the origin, even if we have selections. And we jump to 1 or 2 and hit escape, it goes back to the selection. And then I also implemented the search bar here at the bottom, similar to Sublime, where you can just type in words and they'll be highlighted, and then you can jump from one to the other. And the nice thing now that I didn't have was have the search prompt and the Goto work in this case as well. So I can select word or just W, and I can search for it, and it works nicely. Same with Goto, still works in here. Okay, still Thursday, but a little bit later. After I woke up, I worked on copy paste. So not the text box copy paste, I don't have that right now, but what I have is the task copy and paste. So the task copy paste, as you would imagine, it even takes up the state that you have. So if I color task a different way, it will copy the whole state like that. So I can just choose a few lines. So delete these, copy a few of them, and then replace. There's also cut and paste, so that's cut and paste. And it will basically put it at the same indentation that you have, or that you had them in the beginning. And it will also retain trees like this, so the indentation basically stays the same. So the same way I had it before, and it's really, really nice. Now, one thing that can happen is inconsistency with the indentation, but I don't really disallow this at the moment, so, and I don't think I will be, but that's just something to consider. Let's check out some of the copy-paste things that you would want. So all of the state is saved, so I can do tags, I can also add the bookmark, and that state will also be retained, right? So even if we do this, and it's all good, right? We can jump back to the beginning of the file. Yeah, so it works as the way you expect it. And I guess the way I'm gonna do it again is just if you have anything selected inside the word, it's gonna do the copy command from the text box. But if you have any multi-selection going on, it's gonna automatically just copy the 3 tasks instead of like a word selection. I'll be going over the implementation for the patrons.